everybody. Jim and Roth here to do a little rewind theater on Elysium. Jim, you saw some footage from this movie recently,
Yes, I
right?
did. It's about 10 minutes of footage just from director Neill Blomkamp, director of District 9. And this is our first look at Elysium. What is Elysium, you ask?
Well, I would love to know. I mean, I do know, but why don't you tell us anyway?
This is actually Vancouver, doubling for Elysium. But Elysium is a space station that orbits the Earth where all the rich people in the year 2154, all the privileged, have gone to live and get away from all the crap that's been going on Earth.
And there is no crime, there is no war, there is no death on Elysium. Elysium literally translates basically to paradise, and that's what it is. Here we go with Jodi Foster. Tell me a little bit about
Jodi
this lovely
Foster.
lady.
She is the antagonist of the film, but not necessarily a true villain. She plays a character named Defense Secretary Delacourt, and she's in charge of Elysium's security apparatus. She also is in charge of the bureau that heads up illegal immigration.
Right.
And this movie is, in many ways, the way that District 9 was a metaphor for race relations. This movie is about essentially the 99%. And illegal immigration and
also healthcare, because here's the thing, on Elysium basically there is no disease, and we're going to see a little bit of that in a minute, but that's something he wanted to deal with, was access to healthcare as well.
Yes, I mean it really does.
No sickness.
No sickness, and it plays directly into the plight of Matt Damon's character.
What's wrong with this lovely lady?
Well, it says no traces of cancer, so it looks like all that sunning herself. You're going to see look at the marks in her face coming and going.
He also did say that some of the characters were based on some superficial people he may or may not have met in Hollywood. There's Matt Damon. Let's talk about
let's go back and look at the face of old Matty Boy here. Now, he plays a character named Max DaCosta. Max DaCosta is a career criminal who's trying to go straight. He works now a 9-to-5 job at this plant, and it is in the year 2154 in Los Angeles. This is supposed to be L.A. It looks recognizable, but obviously gone to hell.
Yeah.
It was actually filmed in the outskirts of Mexico City, in some of the worst parts of Mexico City, including literally the world's second biggest dump. And
what's interesting, too, is that Neill Blomkamp obviously is making an allegory for our present time period, but Mexico is a great example of the 99.1%, because there's like 50% are in well below poverty level, and the richest man in the world hails from Mexico.
Now, on Matt Damon's back here, he's wearing his work jumpsuit, is a logo for the Armadine Corporation. They're going to play a central role in this movie. William Fichtner, who we don't see in the trailer, you know him from Drive Angry and Armageddon, plays the CEO.
Dark Knight.
And Dark Knight. He was the bank manager in Dark Knight. He plays the CEO of this corporation, and information from his brain is going to be downloaded by Matt Damon's character, Inception style.
Yeah, it's funny, too, because Neill Blomkamp is obviously a huge sci-fi fan, and he's very inspired by sort of classic sci-fi films. Aliens is his favorite. But, yeah, he loves Nolan, too, and there's shades of sort of bringing in the political element to the big blockbuster film here. But he always says he wants the emphasis be on fun.
Now, this is Diego Luna. He plays a character named Julio, and they're talking to a guy named Spider, played by Wagner Moura. That's the man on the left, and he is essentially this sort of self-styled Robin Hood who, if you do some work for him, he can get you onto Elysium. Matt Damon's character, he obviously looks sick here, and that's because he got irradiated or poisoned somehow in an on-the-job accident. He has 5 days to live, and the only way he's going to live is that wonderful tech we saw on Elysium. But what does he have to do to get to Elysium?
Also, I just want to pull out that the 5 days to get off of this world is so Escape from New York.
Another callback to the classic sci-fi that Blomkamp would have grew up with. Now, this here is an exoskeleton that's going to be painfully and surgically grafted onto Matt Damon's body. It gives him enhanced strength. You were saying earlier to me kind of shades of RoboCop there, but it doesn't heal him, but it definitely helps him when he goes up against some of those other RoboCops that we're going to see. He needs this because we're going to see later in the trailer they're going to take on, they're going to basically shoot down William Fichtner's shuttlecraft as it comes to Earth, jack into his head, steal the information, and which
in order
threatens
to
the
break
whole.
into Elysium.
Yeah, it's going to threaten the whole power balance between the haves and have-nots.
I think what's cool too is like it's this human robot hybrid thing, but they're going to go up against droids,
Yeah.
which are actual robots.
Now here we see 3 shuttles basically on their way to Elysium. They're trying to crash their party, and let's just say we're going to see what happens to one of them later on in the trailer. It might go by so quickly you don't catch it, but they're going to be dealt with in a very, very harsh manner.
And that in Jodi Foster, like we said, she wasn't necessarily meant to be the out-and-out villain, although probably a lot of us will read her as such. I probably will. But Copley was really supposed to be the real villain.
We're going to see him here in a minute. Now, here's one of those robo-police. Blomkamp almost directed the Halo movie. He's a big video game fan. So definitely some shades of video game kind of characteristics here in some of this stuff.
We saw some of that in District 9, too. And here's Shalto Copley. Tell us, we see the metal on his face, and this is such a cool, neat conceit. Tell me about it.
Now, he is, as you say, the out-and-out villain. The piece, he plays a guy named Kruger. He is a Black Ops soldier and agent of Delacorte's who does all the dirty work for Elysium on Earth, including hunting down illegals, killing people, whatever it takes. He has no qualms about it. And he's based on, Copley, like Blomkamp, is South African, and they patterned this character off of on
the South African
3-2 Battalion. Yeah,
they used to go into the bush.
Yes, and that's his Bushman beard.
Because the thing about his character is that he has enough money to live on Elysium. He just doesn't choose to. This is a Nissan, by the way. If anybody's paying attention, that is a Nissan.
In the year 2154, you can still get a
it's
Nissan.
It's a 140-year-old car.
I forgot to mention the stuff on his face. Now, he has these little metal clamps and magnets all over his body. Why? Because he can click on different pieces of armor, perhaps an oxygen mask, whatever it takes for the job, visors. It's just much quicker for him to operate that way. Kind of a shades of Road Warrior there, too.
And there's a lot of this feels visually reminiscent of D9, but I mean, D9 was made for $30 million. This is 90, and I feel like you can really see where that money is, effects-wise, coming here. But what's really different is the visual look of Elysium itself.
It's a great mixture of uber dirty and ultra clean. Now here, this shuttlecraft is carrying William Fichtner's character, John Carlyle, the CEO of Armadyne, and this sequence we see Damon and his guys basically shooting it down. You got to like the old school thing here. Shalto rocking the sword.
You know, it's funny
samurai
too.
On these guys.
He wanted to come off as such a villain that he put in darker contact lenses. They're black to make himself look more sinister. Who's this little girl? Now,
this little girl is the daughter of Alice Braga's character, Frey, who is a nurse and an old flame of Matt Damon's. Is this Matt Damon's character's daughter? I don't know. It kind of doesn't matter because she's in peril, and this might actually be right here. We see 2 people. That's Damon hanging onto the side there. We see some feet hanging off the side and then another body. And I do believe that that's Alice Braga's character and her daughter in peril along with Matt Damon.
How did the action... I want to point out this car, you guys, because it's a Bugatti. And I want to point this out. This has been real controversy that he's used like real logos, but he did it on purpose to ground this for us. It's a metaphor. It's a metaphor for our current time. And so he wants it to feel real. He says it's ridiculous situations told as realistically as possible, basically. And so these are sort of subconscious cues to us that this is real. But how fancy.
Nice. This car was actually at this flying car was actually at Comic-Con last year.
How did the action look to you from what you saw?
It looked fantastic. If you liked everything about District 9, you're really going to like Elysium. That's not a cheap sales pitch. It's the truth.